Hello to all you Patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 227 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, a show that's still more on time than the Prime Minister's press conference. We're recording on May 11th, 2020. As always, my name is Andrew. I'll be your host. Joining me tonight, we have Gavin, Benny, and Ian.
And we'd love your feedback about the show or about our tardiness. You can visit the show at CanadianPatriot.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. This is especially important since now we do whole episodes dedicated to your feedback. A version of the show is available on Stitcher and iTunes. And apparently Podbean and some other thing we got going.
iHeartRadio or something?
Yeah. I fixed the Spotify feed.
That's the one. There you go. Yeah, we're all over the place.
All right, you can check the podcast out on Facebook.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast and Instagram at Instagram.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast.
We need your help to support the show. Visit us at patreon.com/CPP and become Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 per episode. The more you pledge, the better the rewards are. Show you're not a communist. Buy a CPP t-shirt for just $19.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com homepage and follow the link that's on the right. Always go to the right.
Yep.
All right, it's time for my favorite segment. It's called What Are You Drinking? It's where I ask, what are you drinking? We're going to start with Gavin. Gavin, what are you drinking?
I am drinking a very strong Jack and Coke Zero today.
Good stuff.
Tough day?
Yeah, a long day.
Well, anytime you violate someone's human rights, it will make you thirsty.
Yeah.
Ian, what are you drinking?
Drinking Appleton rum and Coke Zero.
Not on duty? Not even Daddy Uber duty?
Not even Daddy Uber duty, but approaching cutoff, so I have to cut it off fairly soon.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah.
Benny, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking the old Corona again.
Well, there's no Corona like the Mexican beer or the Chinese virus, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm drinking Shakespeare Brewing's coffee pale ale. It tastes like coffee and beer, and it's delicious.
So does it make you relaxed and alert?
Yeah, we could say that.
Although, hold on, if Benny's got the Coronas going, I'm gonna have to put my mask on because I don't want to get it.
My mask's still in the mail.
Is that how this works? We can get it over the internet now?
Who knows?
Only if you're using 5G.
Oh, only if we're using 5G. Given how our show is late because of technical difficulties, I bet we're not even on 3G.
To be fair, we were twice as fast as the Prime Minister showing up for press conferences and stuff.
But not twice as fast as his wife's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Oh, I imagine he's pretty slow. I think Trudeau's the one that's fast. But whatever.
Yeah.
We can figure that out at a later date.
Well, that remains to be seen. Until there's video of it, then.
Yeah.
I know I'm not supposed to ask, but where is Sophie nowadays? Like I haven't seen her.
Well, last we saw, there were pictures of them in the Quebec countryside.
At their cottage, where they're building another cottage.
Yeah.
So they built a temporary 5,000 square foot cottage. It's going to cost us a couple $1 million.
So they went to the cottage, and they went back to Ottawa.
Yeah, and then while they were there, they realized that their current cottage is a shithole, and so started building a second cottage or something.
So you're telling me they crossed provincial boundaries and decided to go to the cottage, which they weren't supposed to do, and did unnecessary travel?
Ian, you're not a plebe, okay?
Okay,
I mean,
sorry, man.
You are a plebe, so you wouldn't understand.
Yeah, I know. The rent still eats and all that. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's talk about gun bans because it's time to do gun bans again because we haven't done it in a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, everybody probably saw this. The internet freaked the F word out. RCMP prohibits 12-gauge shotguns with 20-millimeter bore laws. CBSA memorandum backs firearms lawyers on shotgun ban. This is on the CSSA website. They were the ones that asked for the legal opinion of Mr. Ed Burlew, a prominent firearms legal expert. And there's a way that you could interpret that some shotguns are prohibited based on how you measure the bore of that shotgun. And the internet freaked the F out over this. So that was fun.
Yep. Yeah, I guess we kind of touched on it last week, but I mean, it's kind of been a thing that's evolving over the last few days of they're not banned, they are banned, they're not banned, they're banned, they're maybe banned.
So in order to determine what the current legal state of your property is in Canada, you need to refer to the Minister of Public Safety's Twitter page, because that is apparently how we disseminate law in this country now.
Yeah.
I really wish my drops would work so that I could get like some honk honk sound effect.
Well, I mean, that's how we decide a lot of other things, like how we give out money, as proven by Trevor Noah and Trudeau's tweet to him, and also back when we were trying to decide how to do like a new way for voting, because first past the post sucks. They were encouraging people to share their opinions via Twitter on that too. So
Well,
that's our new platform
First past
moving
the
forward.
post does still suck, by the way.
And don't forget the $850 million to the WHO via tweet.
Yeah.
Won't get fooled again? Oh no, different who.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although it looks like we will, or at least he'll try.
I think Pete Townsend would have made better use of the money, but anyway.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
by the way, Elwood Epps. So he was the one that measured the bore on video, right?
Yes, one of the employees at Elwood Epps did measure the bore of a Ivor Johnson shotgun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
somewhere between the throat and the actual muzzle before the choke. That's what was measured.
Yeah, so I guess the big thing previously was the debate of where do you measure it, because there's no guidance in the orders in council. It just says anything over 20 mils. And if you take a choke out and measure the muzzle, well, that's going to probably be almost over 20 mils in every case of a modern shotgun with a choke. And then that's where the debate ensued, and all the name calling started. And you're like,
And then the Minister of Public Safety tweeted out that the truth mattered, and he was going to get in touch with the CCFR or the CSSA. He was going to get in touch with some kind of organization for spreading their misinformation because they were wrong, and that's not what the law said.
yeah,
The king of stupid.
But I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I think we call him the king of kettling, actually.
yeah, or the pot czar. Yeah,
Kettle, the kettle calling the pot black.
Yeah.
Mr. 80% of guns in Canada that commit crime are locally sourced. My ass.
Well,
Or,
and the minute he was faced with the truth last time, I do believe he kicked Rod and Tracy out of his office.
yeah.
Well, that's because he can't just keep repeating the same 4 talking points over and over. But unfortunately, he's only able to retain 4 talking points at a time. So
Yeah, on
when
a
he
good
runs
day.
out of those, he needs to like get rehandled.
Yeah, that or I have an excellent quote here. The extra police powers Bill Blair gave to his officers during the international summit resulted in what the Ontario Ombudsman called, and this is a direct quote, the most massive compromise of civil liberties in Canadian history.
Yeah, but what does he care?
And that's when Blair said recently, hold my beer.
Watch this.
Want to see me do it again?
Yeah.
And he knew he was bound for greatness in the Liberal Party.
So yeah, I guess they've now determined based on like a bunch of different legal departments and agencies that all handle this, the way to measure the diameter of a shotgun bore is to remove the choke so that you can take really long calipers and stick them into the barrel and measure the area that is right before the threads start, I believe is the way that they've now determined this.
Interesting.
they?
'Cause
And this-
I
this is the-
recently
Sorry,
I recently
Andrew,
read a
continue.
CBSA opinion that the bore includes any area through which the shot travels, including the forcing cone, which means any 12-gauge shotgun is going to be over 20 millimeters.
Well,
because
yeah, and
the forcing
that's-
cone is
Yeah.
much bigger, much bigger.
And that's where the problem lies in all of this, because but either
'Cause
way,
the
I mean,
rules are made up and the points don't matter.
yeah, when you make a rule, you need to establish clearly what you're talking about. And I think this was the problem with this whole thing. Like, they're trying to avoid loopholes by being super vague in their wording and making it kind of all encompassing. Because the more specific they are about something, the more leeway we have to comply but not comply.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Creatively comply.
Yeah.
Maliciously, even.
Yeah, like instead of saying, magazines are limited to 5 rounds, they should have said something like, your magazine may only be large enough to hold 5 rounds, in which case then we'd be stuck with little tiny magazines that would be stupid. But they didn't. And I think they've learned from that mistake in the past, where now they've tried to craft legislation and regulations that don't let us do that, except in doing so, they've now prohibited a bunch of shit that they didn't mean to.
Well, and not only that,
12
but I
gauge
think
shotguns.
I do believe
Yeah.
that CBSA and the U.S. Department of State has actually come forward and said, yeah, we can't really export these and you can't really import these. And it's become a bit of a snowball effect now. So it's got to be sorted out in the very short order, or else it's going to be a real problem, I think.
Yeah, but we have confirmed that at least one single shotgun, so like super dangerous, right, has a bore diameter of greater than 20 millimeters and is now prohibited.
That's right.
As a result of this.
A gun shop has been on the phone with the CFO, and the information has been released that the Canadian Firearms Program has told them that measuring it this way, as of whenever that article came out, Friday of last week, that in their opinion, according to the CFP, on that day, that shotgun could be prohibited. Now,
I love it how we're leaving it up to random organizations that aren't the government to dictate what law is.
the Canadian Firearms Program is not a random organization. They're responsible for the enforcement of the Firearms Act.
Right, but they don't write it, yet they seem to be the ones who are dictating all the rules.
Right, and if you call them and ask, they'll tell you that this is not legal advice and that that you need to consult a lawyer and they're not the authority on this. But I mean,
the FRT is an illegal document.
The FRT is not a legal document, which, well, we'll get to that one in a second. But let's look at the grandfathering thing, because the RCMP website also changed the end of last week over the weekend. I think it was on Saturday. The RCMP updated the Canadian Firearms Program website to no longer list references to buybacks as part of the post that came out in regards to the Ordering Council. The Ordering Council, of course, what it is actually escapes me. 296020, something like that.
Yeah, /turd/massive.
yeah, a little bit. So the RCMP website, the CFP website, had been updated to reflect that grandfathering is something that would be down the road once the government crafts the appropriate legislation. The RCMP changed that. They took down any references to grandfathering on the CFP, so that's good. Yeah.
I mean, some other things that have come out with this, like the hunting rifles that were supposed to not be banned are now banned. So
well, let's get to that bit, because I mean we have a bunch of links in the show notes, but the Ordering Council we have talked about being like a giant steaming dumpster fire.
Yeah. Inside of a larger dumpster fire.
Yeah, definitely. So it's like a tire fire inside of a dumpster fire. It's very bad. The 10,000 joule energy verbiage, the line item for firearms over 10,000 joules has been very contentious over the last couple of days, because as Benny mentioned, we've seen FRT numbers changing. We've seen a couple of different FRT numbers changing. So first off, Blackleaf Industries came out and they said, I think this was on Saturday, like the 9th or something to that effect, the 8th, the 9th. The RCMP is actually making FRT changes for items not on the list. No mention of the BL9 restricted status on Monday of this week, prohibited on Tuesday. And I saw that towards the end of the week.
Yeah, and I kind of, when the list was initially posted, I kind of went through because I was curious looking at some Canadian companies and the ramifications of it. And I did see that their AR was on there, but I did not see that their 9mm was on there. And I was like, maybe because it's built on a smaller frame and they have a little bit different thing for the magazine release because it uses Glock mags and not AR mags, that maybe somehow it got around the regulation. It's not an AR. Like, you can't. AR-15? It's built on the same principle and design, but like scaled down, right?
Yeah, it uses a different receiver, and as we know in Canadian firearms law, the receiver, the serialized component, is the firearm. So if it's not an AR-15 receiver, then it's not an AR-15 receiver.
But apparently now it is.
Except when it is. Yeah, except when it is.
Yeah.
Other fun changes. This came from Cadex. Cadex is a manufacturer of, we'll call it high-end precision rifles. I feel like is an accurate description. Things that I would like to, but will probably not ever be able to talk my wife into letting me buy.
Yeah. I mean, they are also not for the poors. Like
no,
an HK.
they are definitely not for the poors. KDEX had a number of their FRTs changed as well. So the firearms reference table, of course, tells us what's the government's opinion on different guns and calibers and makes and models, and if things are prohibited or restricted or non-restricted. KDEX makes primarily bolt-action rifles, although they've also made AR-15s and AR-15 components in the past.
Yeah.
A couple of their guns are chambered in some rather boutique calibers. The CDX-50 made the list because it's a 50 caliber bolt-action rifle. The CDX-40 also got moved into prohibited status over the course of last week.
Well, anything in 375 SHATAC 416 408, I think, and of course 460 Weatherby Magnum.
That's
I
right.
mean, yeah, anything that's extreme long range shooting capable is gone. And the thing is, they even actually prohibited some KDEX chassis without caliber designations.
See that's where this gets into like some silly territory, because it's like, well, this is capable of more than 10,000 joules. Well, I mean,
it's a
I
chassis.
guess so, but like a chassis is a chassis, right? It's not a firearm.
Like you could attach a dildo to it. Like,
I mean, I guess 357 CHATAC could
don't tempt Justin. Come on now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they wouldn't ban that from, would they?
Well, I think this is the bore diameter over 20 millimeters.
Well, I'm sure he's hoping so, but
if it's not, does it even count? I really like the Albertans comment here on YouTube. KDEX, why buy a car when you can buy a KDEX?
A valid point.
Yeah, I mean, I think their least expensive factory rifle is more than my first car was, but...
Well, I mean, if you just buy their Remington 700 pattern, receiver, it's not that much.
And again, and how many of these were you ever used in a mass shooting or any sort of crime?
Precisely zero, but I think this is part of the whole policy event thing. They wanted 50 BMG banned in this country because nobody needs a military sniper rifle.
But like, given like the 50 BMG is probably the cheapest of those rifles to shoot, and that's still $10 a pop.
Yeah, I don't know what 375 CHATAC goes for, but I don't think she's going to be cheap.
Probably $15 to $20 a pop.
Yeah, they just don't want anybody shooting back at the armored vehicles when they run over the people. That's all.
Yeah. It's dumb.
If you have to ask, you can't afford it.
Yeah, but it's okay though, because like, just keep shooting them because Blair said it's okay.
Well, it's not a shotgun, so is it okay?
Sure. Why not? He said he's not coming for our hunting guns.
My long distance bolt action identifies as a shotgun.
I mean, I kind of wish that long distance bolt action identified as being over 20 millimeters.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even just at 20 millimeters would be fine.
What I'm saying is I really want a Lahi for reasons.
Yeah. Or a javelin missile.
Well, that definitely on the prohib list. The government making things up as they go along because they didn't realize what they were doing. So a bunch of stuff that was fine on Monday is now, as of Tuesday, Wednesday, and later in last week, is all moved to the prohibited list because reasons.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of stuff that's in purgatory because we don't know. I mean,
and part of my concern with this is, like, I still haven't gotten any notification from the government other than reading the Gazette as to what the changes in law are. So, if I were not a politically aware and informed individual, how would I know that my stuff got prohibited?
Yeah, I mean,
especially like oddball stuff like 375 CHATAC rifles. Like, that is not a thing that I
or like a 460 Weatherby, which, like, I'm sure Earl
your African big game safari rifle.
Yeah, like the 460 Weatherby Magnum is actually one of the big 5, like, big game rifles. I mean, so if you're going to go to South Africa, you're supposed to have one of these 5 rifles to take with you. And so the average guy that can afford to take something like that to South Africa for a safari probably isn't worried about an AR-15 ban and isn't paying attention to the actual details of the law.
Yeah,
well,
but I mean,
if I was like that, I keep all my guns in the States and just, fly there to pick them up before I go in.
So that was a question that was asked, like, what we can export. So, because I've done a little bit of researching on this, not a whole lot, but a little bit. For my understanding, temporary import into the U.S. is something that's possible with your Form 6. Can't put anything of Russian or Chinese origin on it. And there's a few
or anything that the ATF thinks is a machine gun. Like
yeah, or
in
anything.
Canada.
Yeah, so my Colt IUR they think is a machine gun. They also seem to think that the Tavor is the machine gun because apparently, like the ones in Canada have the full auto fire control group, even though they're not capable of full auto. Something like that I read. But then the ones that are made and sent to the US have a different trigger pack in it that's not a full auto one. So like even though it's not capable of full auto, it's considered a machine gun or some stupid. So there might be some other things, but otherwise everything else is fine for temporary import. All you do is you fill out your Form 6, it's free, and you can do that for a year. The problem, though, is when you start looking at permanently exporting things into the U.S. from Canada. If your gun was manufactured in the U.S. and was permanently exported into Canada, you can't permanently export it back. That's not a thing.
I thought you were going to go a different route. I forget which act or law it is there, but if we did import them, they would have to have the right number of American-made compliant parts or something.
Yeah, but like if you were to, but that's for things like Russian and other countries, like the AKs and stuff like that, had to have a number of American parts and this and that. But no, if you had an American-made gun, so like you went out and bought an American-made Colt or Ruger or whatever fancy thing you bought, and you have it now here in Canada, it was permanently exported out of the United States, which means that it cannot be permanently exported from Canada into the U.S. because then it wouldn't have been permanently exported out of the U.S., right? That's the problem.
I found Benny's regulation. Section 922R, Title 18 is the thing that dictates where parts have to be made.
Figures that it would be a Section 9.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're exporting stuff, you're stuck. If it's manufactured not in the U.S., Russia, or China, you've got a hope of bringing it into the U.S. somehow. But like to bring it in permanently, you need to at least be some sort of resident of the U.S. Otherwise, they won't let you do that.
So your gun's probably not getting out of the country.
Yeah, not easily, anyways, or legally.
Well, let's look at some upcoming. Well, I'm not going to say fun. I'm not really sure what to call it. Obviously, people are aware, politically turned on people are aware that if you're not registered for the Conservative Party by the 14th, you can't vote in the Conservative Party leadership election whenever they get around to having that. Because
so you have 3 days, 4 including today.
Well, which I mean, unless you're live on YouTube listening to us, you're not going to hear that.
Yeah.
But Peter MacKay is one of the confirmed candidates for the leadership race. And, well, now that Ian's back, he brought this article up. I want his opinion. This is in the Post-Millennial. MacKay backed current Trudeau-style gun bans in 2000.
Indeed, he did. Among many other things, but he would basically said at the time that he was totally in favor of doing exactly what Trudeau did today, or this week anyway, which was banning anything he considered an assault rifle. So, I mean, right now he's saying that he's going to repeal this OIC and C-71 and anything else that's come along lately, but in reality, I mean, is he saying that just to get elected, or is he saying that for real?
I do not like Peter MacKay. I was not impressed with him when he was the defense minister under Harper, which is really the only time that I paid attention to his politics was while he was the defense minister. He does not inspire confidence. I do not think that he has a good chance on a national election, although I think he is probably one of the better choices of the 4 preeminent conservative leaders. Just because he does parlez-vous français and he is an East Coaster, so like I think on a national election he is.
Let's maybe not say better choice, but more electable.
Well, yeah, that's why like he's more electable on a national scale, but I also do not like the whole like red Tory aspect of his policies. I don't like a lot of the things that he has done socially. I don't like a lot of the things he has done fiscally. and I don't like that he is flip-flopped on his decisions, because like I understand people can change their mind and they can grow over time and they can change their opinion. I also feel like McKay doesn't change his opinion. He just says the thing that he thinks is going to get him the most votes.
I mean, if he truly has changed his opinion, I'd like to hear him come forward and say what made him change his opinion and why. Like, that would be a start. Because, yeah, like, I mean, it happens. But on a topic like banning assault rifles, I don't think this is something that people do on a whim. Like, I don't like the color blue. Well, tomorrow I do. Right? It's...
Yeah, I get that, and I mean part of this could be, again, maybe his understanding of firearms on this country has changed since 2000, but also
and if
assault
that's what it
rifles
is, he
were
should say
banned
that.
in
Yeah.
2000, right? Like no one had a machine gun. Very few people had machine guns in the year 2000 in this country because they were already banned before that. Now, if they were grandfathered, whatever, some people still continue to own grandfathered actual machine guns. But banning assault rifles and automatic weapons in 2000 would have done exactly what it's doing today, which is to say nothing, because no one owns those, with the exception of people that owned them before 1977.
Prior to that, there were no crimes being committed. After that, no crime
has been committed since. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
But that doesn't make a difference.
Maybe he's changed his position. I don't trust him as far as I can throw him, and I'd be quite happy to throw him back into the Atlantic from where he came.
Yeah, and rumor has it that his eyes are too close together.
His eyes are too close together. Have you looked at him? Like something just seems off about him. And now that somebody pointed out to me that it's the distance between his eyes, I can't not see it.
Yeah, and he was showing signs of being on the take when he was last in government. He had a very cozy relationship with the Emirates as well, and he was criticized for that as well because he was.
Is that why we're exporting weapons to them again?
Well, not only that, but he was willing to sell out the airline industry in Canada in order to bring a airline from somewhere else that was dumping capacity into North America in order to lower prices for the consumer, but put a bunch of Canadians out of work. And he was happy with that because, you know, he got a little bit of a kickback. He had an Emirates airplane in his office. He was wearing the hat when he's out on the press junket and everything else. He was clearly being influenced unduly.
I mean, but have you seen their planes, though? I mean, like, they have dining room tables and, like, fine china.
You can order that from any company, Gavin. If you want to get an Airbus, you get an Airbus. You want to get Boeing, you can get a Boeing. It's fine.
And they are parking them en masse right now as well, just like everybody else is. So
yeah. Maybe we can get one cheap.
Maybe.
I mean, yeah, but who can afford the upkeep?
So
maybe we'll get a bailout.
I feel like we would. There's no way that we would get a bailout. I don't think that's happening.
Yeah.
Well, we could say it's a green airplane, and we've been hard hit by the coronavirus.
Yeah.
And you know, we could make pledges on Twitter to key liberal charities, and I'm sure we might make the list.
Yeah, if we could just get JT to tweet us out just once, that's got to be worth at least 50 mil.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how many liberal MPs can I put on an Airbus? I feel like it's a lot.
All of them.
A lot more than a helicopter.
All of them. Like, they don't need seats. All of them. Standing room only.
All right, be right back. I'm going to look on usedairbuses.com.
Yeah. Airbustrader.ca. Here we come.
All right. Other thing, Gavin brought this up on the feedback show. If you haven't heard the feedback show from last Thursday, you're not a Patreon, and I want my effing dollar. So you have to wait, unless you gave me an effing dollar, in which case I thank you very kindly, and you've already got the opportunity to listen to the all feedback show. So Gavin mentioned this. I'll let him carry on with that now that we're on a real show that everybody gets to hear, including all the not pay cucks.
Yeah.
We're going to court. The CCFR is suing the government.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's a charter challenge because the Ordering Council violates our chartered rights.
Section 7, I believe, right?
Yeah, the ability to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and can't be denied us unless for
That's
fundamental
definitely not in the charter.
things. Yeah,
100%
no.
The
is not in
Canadian
the
version
charter.
of that, but
Yeah.
yes.
I'm making it sound better than it is because our own charter isn't worth the paper that it's written on. But like,
especially not with the notwithstanding clause. But
yeah, or the like, if people get really sick clause, right? That's going on right now.
Yeah.
If
But-
some people get really sick right now.
Allegedly.
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, no, the CCFR and it looks like the NFA are also. So there are 2 lawsuits that are going.
So the NFA one appears to be a little bit different. The NFA one involves Solomon Friedman, can I call him a premier criminal defense attorney?
I believe he is billed as like one of the preeminent firearms lawyers as well, and specializes in these kind of things, along with.
He did write a really good book on Canadian firearms law, and by really good book I mean a very thick legal volume. So, like, if you had a suspect in custody that you wanted to, like, obtain information from under duress, I would recommend Solomon Friedman's book.
Opposed to a phone book.
Yeah.
Or a bag of oranges.
If you can find a phone book.
Yeah, if you want to John Wick the guy, if I don't know if you guys saw chapter 3 yet or not, but
No.
Yeah.
So the NFA is pursuing a different track. Solomon Friedman is preparing some sort of a legal challenge, although it is not a charter challenge. I don't really understand what the.
Yeah, I'm not really sure their direction, but I think both are slightly different ways of going at the same thing. But
I really like doing this as a legal challenge as a charter thing because they're discriminating against people that are not natives.
well,
I don't think anyone's taking that up. No one's taking that up because
I think
is that not the CCFR position?
No, I
thought
think
they were-
the CCFR one I think is going to be a little bit more broad. Like it's going to hit on a few things. That's potentially one of them where it discriminates against certain peoples but not others. But also in that, like,
I thought that was part
this
of
is
Chapter 7 was the discriminatory.
it is, but it's the taking away of our rights to own things without justification, right? Like it's the part of the charter that our friend Sean Bevins was trying to change back in the day, where it's like that fundamental justice part of it, right?
Okay, so basically what CCFR Section 7 challenge was, everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security of the person, and the right not to be deprived thereof, except for in accordance with the principles of fundamental justice. Of course, you don't have property rights in Canada.
Yeah, that's the closest that we have, and that's
exactly
what Sean was trying to change several years ago with his petition when he did it, was that wording of that thing.
But quite frankly,
but
quite frankly, we're all an easily identifiable group based on our firearms licenses, and we are a minority group because we're only 2.2 million out of 38 million or whatever, and so it's not very hard to figure out that we are a persecuted minority group, easily identifiable. I mean, what's next? Put our pals on our arm. I mean, what's next, right? So
boxcars.
Yeah, exactly.
I've read this.
So exactly. I saw this movie once. Anyway, so I'm surprised nobody's taken up the 2 sets of rules for 2 different groups of people in Canada versus one group can continue to use them and one group can't. That is actually another charter challenge you could take up quite easily. But
and I think that's where like the CCFR has yet to file, or at least they haven't as of the last time I looked, but they're building that case and they have their legal team on it that's just like combing over it. They think they have enough to challenge it, but they're just trying to get all of the things that they can challenge it on before they actually file. And they're also trying to drum up some support. So, if you haven't renewed your CCFR membership, I highly recommend that you do. And if you don't have one by now, please consider giving them some of your hard-earned money, because this is not going to be a cheap thing to do.
What's a CCFR membership, like $20 annually?
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, if you have a membership, just consider donating extra. Like, I mean, I threw an extra $20 last week, and I mean, it's like just the least you can do.
Yeah, I mean, your $20 membership, whatever, gets you your $5 million liability insurance. So, like, that's handy to have.
20 or 40? I thought it's 40 for a full membership.
Is it? I'd have to look. I don't have the thing
I
in
think
front
it's
of
40
me.
for a full membership.
I'm being a bad field officer right now. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think
it's okay. I interned. I have the numbers.
perfect.
Individual membership is $40. If you're a senior,
Yeah.
it's 25, and if you're a student, it's 20.
there you go. So yeah, like it's I know like right now, money is short with everyone on the dole.
Well,
But-
but I imagine most people listening to our show are essential workers.
Yeah, and if you're not and you're on the dole, I think taking that tax dollars given to you by the Trudeau and spending them back on this to fight.
Redistributing them.
Yeah, redistributing is an excellent way to spend some of that EI or emergency relief benefit money. But I think it's great. I wish that maybe that the NFA had banded with the CCFR, but also I don't dislike that there are two ways of going about this.
Well,
'Cause
again,
if one-
this is just the beginning. They're
If
At least
one
they're-
fails, then maybe the other succeeds, and that's great. Even better if they both succeed, because I don't
makes it
think
that much harder.
well, I don't think we have really anything to lose in this, because if we lose, then it basically just says that the government's allowed to do what the government has already done. So we haven't lost anything. But if we win this, it could set some massive precedents in helping us establish firearm rights in this country, and saying that like
Or maybe stop the rule by decree, which is what they've gone to
well,
now.
exactly, right? And actually have to demonstrate that these restrictions will actually increase public safety, which we all know they won't.
They won't. Demonstrably, they will not. But I'm glad
Yeah.
to see that the firearms organizations are, if not working together, at least releasing joint statements and sort of being on the same page about this. And I'm glad to see that we are investigating our legal avenues for redress of our grievances, because the government does not seem to give one flying F-bomb about what I think
Petition.
or want.
Right, letter.
Yeah.
Stuff. I have a question though. I thought the OIC did not apply to Aboriginals.
It does not.
It
If
does.
that's the case, why are they included in the exceptions for during the amnesty? Exceptions are included under the amnesty order to allow the continued use of newly prohibited firearms. Blah 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 blah.
So
sorry,
the order in council applies to everyone in Canada. The
Just
problem
applies to some people more equally than others.
exactly. The problem is that they have these existing agreements from all of these different tribes or nations, however they like to be described. I'm not really sure, but different groups of people that share some common ancestry, that has said that in this particular area you are allowed to do this, even though it contradicts the rules and requirements of everybody else in every other part of the country. So I mean, on native lands or their traditional hunting grounds. So it doesn't have to be reserve lands. It could just be the area in which they traditionally hunted, which could be well away from where their reserve is. But if that was their traditional hunting grounds, they are allowed to hunt all year round with no license and no regulation whatsoever.
So my question,
And they will be able to continue to do so with the weapons that have been prohibited, so long as they were non-restricted ones.
Right. So my question comes because at the end of the exception, all end of the amnesty at the end of the amnesty period, all firearms owners must comply with the new law. That applying to the previous statement of, prohibition devices are previously non-restricted by individuals who hunt, trap to sustain themselves or their families, and by Indigenous persons exercising Aboriginal or treaty rights to hunt. So, if that is included in this exception, and then the next line says they have to hand in their guns, then it would seem after 2 years they don't have to hand in their guns.
They don't unless they can find something suitable. So as long as they can't find anything suitable, they don't have to turn in their guns.
And also, if they keep it on the reserve, they don't have to hand it in either.
Yeah, because on the reserve, they don't even need a gun license.
No PAL required.
As is traditional, just like
Yeah.
drones.
So as long as they're on the reserve, they don't need a gun license or a hunting license, and can do whatever they want, regardless of what the season is. and everything is fine. If they are hunting on traditional hunting grounds that are not the reserve, as long as their rifle is non-restricted and they have a gun license, they can hunt with drones and everything is fine.
Magic dirt is a wonderful thing.
Yeah. It's like magic sky cloth, but different because it's on the ground and it's everywhere. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Like, if these things are so dangerous, why can one group of people continue to use them when another group can't? And if these things only were designed to kill the most number of people in the shortest amount of time and they're not hunting rifles, why are you allowing them to continue to be used for hunting? Because that in itself means that those rifles are hunting rifles, and therefore, for our chartered rights and all of the things and this and that and everything, like in the Firearms Act and all that, like, you can't take them away because they're hunting rifles.
And
that's
if
going to be
If they were really that dangerous, why is there a 2-year amnesty?
Exactly.
Yeah, there's so many things in the actual Order in Council itself that contradict itself and basically state, all of the things that we say are reasons for these things. When you say, this isn't a thing, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that, except that the thing that we're saying you can't do with it, well, you can do you can do that. Just don't.
Certain rules for certain groups,
Yeah.
they get to get away with it, others not so much.
Yeah.
Quick note from Taxpayer Dave there on the YouTube comments. He did mention the fact that our largest petition to date was E2341, which got up to 175,000 signatures.
Yeah,
I do believe 2574 is already up to 169,000. It's only like a week old.
Excellent. I mean, we do have an interview scheduled with Brad at some point this week, who was the gentleman that I guess put the original petition forward.
That's Brad Benisiak.
Yeah, I look forward to having him on the show as the person that created the second largest petition in Canada.
Well, hopefully you'll be the first.
Well, no, his petition closed. He's got the largest e-petition on the second
currently
largest petition.
Okay. But I hope he has the second largest by the time we have him on the show, because
I hope so. We'll see
I'm proud of all of you. I don't want it to fizzle out with the same number, because it just means that the same people signed the petition again.
I want 2 million signatures on that one myself, but
and
I don't
their
know
families
why we're not at 2 million.
Yeah.
When is Michelle Rempel coming on? I don't know. We should reach out to Michelle Rempel. I feel like she's maybe a little bit more highbrow than we are, but hey, it doesn't hurt to ask.
No, we can maybe reach out to some of our contacts that are mutual friends and see.
Yeah, we know some people.
Yeah,
I know some people.
I was invited to her birthday party because I was in town at the time, and unfortunately I was unable to make it because I was already previously engaged having a wonderful dinner with Angela, but it would have been cool to be there.
All right, let's do a rapid fire feedback, and then we'll remind some people about petitions. We've got an email from Art. Gavin mentioned we're going to a bi-weekly feedback show, I think is the plan right now based on the volume. But Art's feedback was particularly topical for this evening. The subject: best chance to affect the gun ban. And Art's email reads: Gentlemen, I'm a veteran, lawyer, and longtime shooter who is all over the gun ban issue. I'm new to your podcast. At the moment I'm listening to CPP 225, the friends we make along the way, and certainly agree with your comments about the fragmented and therefore less effective than it should be Canadian gun lobby. The lack of unity is our greatest weakness. Social media offers a solution. Please consider joining the 2,000 folks on the new CCFR social media action group. Better yet, don't join. Get your wife, sisters, mother, etc. to join, because they will get more out of the group dynamic and will therefore be more likely to stay in and stay active. No politician wants to take on several thousand angry, aggressive, organized women. The project is explained in the May 4 Canadian pro-gun rights podcast link here. So that's episode 65 of the CCFR podcast. This is the new group that might just be the difference we need to stave off the Order in Council. My wife is in, and I'm contributing financially, and hope you guys will consider backing the effort on your podcast. Regards, Art. And I want to thank Art for coming out to Service Pistol and also for sending this in. And I would very much like to see Bill Blair argue with thousands of angry women
Oh, yeah.
who don't need guns. I find a particular level of poetic justice in that.
Oh, it would be a shit show beyond belief. Just out of
Yeah.
curiosity, is this the art from the Mordolphin area by any chance?
I strongly doubt that.
Okay, there's I knew an art from back in the day, that way. So
Yes, no, I would love to see Karen step up and ask to speak to the manager about her ability
Here.
to own guns in this country.
I think it would be very funny to find Canada's first radical feminist prime minister arguing with a bunch of women about what it means to own guns and be a feminist. I would like to see that. I would pay money to see that.
I'm just kind of curious as to what part of like taking guns away from women is the feminist part.
It's the part where he, being a man,
A white
that
male.
identifies as a man. Yes, a white, cisgendered white man
Is he really
the
The
cisgender?
worst kind.
from privileged family with lots of money and celebrity status and political influence. So the best kind of
Patriarchy lacking ally.
yeah. He's the one that made the decision for. Well, I guess it wasn't alone. Him and an old white man that was a police officer, so had a position of authority and all of that.
So it's
but
a mansplain.
The two of them got together to make the decision for women without consulting any women whatsoever. Because I'm pretty sure an ATIP was filed a while ago by Tracy from the CCFR about some comments that Blair made, and I don't think we've seen that yet, because I don't think they can pull the gendered studies on what implications a firearms ban has.
Well, I'm happy that Bill and Justin were able to mansplain to the ladies as to why they need to take their weapons away in order to like protect them.
Yeah, from
Yeah.
themselves or like I don't or
Yeah.
other
From the
people.
patriarchy.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Yeah,
Without men, where would women be?
yeah.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right, so-
hopefully before this is all over, hopefully Bill says, don't you worry your pretty little head about it or something like that. Just like something to send people right over the edge.
Yeah. But it's okay though, because this is real feminism in action.
Yeah, absolutely. Like disarming women in general is always
Yeah.
a good idea if you're
Yeah.
part of the patriarchy.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, I could totally see Trudeau making a comment. Why not just use a frying pan? Like Biden.
whoa, Benny, are you trying to say that women could only be in the kitchen by saying they should use a frying pan? Because
I'm saying that cast iron is a very effective bludgeoning tool.
I mean, yes, but I mean,
what
why
do
not
you mean?
use
It'd be Justin Trudeau saying this. Like,
why not
I'm not
use
the one holding his
the
opinion.
most common implement, like a baseball bat or your fists?
I don't play baseball. I
Oh,
cook.
okay. There you go.
All right, let's remind everybody. Go sign some petitions. E2574. Currently the second most signed e-petition, 169,000 signatures, and also 2576, which is a follow-up for the same thing. That's only a paltry 36,000 signatures. We got to get some people signing that one
Yeah.
too, because I realize that the petition is not likely to do anything, but it would be funny to just keep having them read
same
firearms
thing.
petitions
Yeah,
in the House
It's like-
of Commons. Like
it's like when it's
every
question
day.
period, and they keep asking the same question, like, "Will the member answer the question as to why they will or will not meet with the ethics commission?" Like that kind of thing.
I wish we could make them actually answer the question. Like, is
Well,
there
they-
like, does no one
No.
else think that's
If
an
it's a-
insult to our
if it's-
our
I,
government?
I
If it's a
do, but
petition, though-
I also feel like
Yeah.
the sergeant at arms' job should be to smack every politician that doesn't answer the question.
Until
Bring
they
back
answer.
the mace.
Well,
Oh,
that's what I'm saying, like
Yeah,
Wouldn't that be the ideal?
yeah.
Make the mace great again.
I think we've
You
got a
didn't
shirt
answer
idea.
the question.
Yeah.
all right. Where can everybody find you on the internet, Gavin?
You can find me on the Instagrams at urbex_GTA. But while you're doing that, also, if you go out onto our buddy Andar1911, go to his Instagram as well, because it's his birthday today.
Oh,
So happy birthday, Andrew. Hopefully you get some likes and stuff.
I do believe there's a good website, endar.biz.
Yes.
Go there,
the
you'll
dot
find-
biz.
Definitely go.
You
to
will
the
find a
.biz.
plethora of good information at endar.biz.
Yes. And
Who buys the
also
.biz?
lemonparty.org.
No, don't do that. That's unlawful.
That is the up and coming political party in Canada.
I'm very glad I do not know what you're referring to there.
They
I
will
wanna
fight
keep
for
it
all
down.
of your
Benny,
firearms
you should go and
rights.
look into that political
Yeah.
party.
Yeah, just make
Wait,
sure that
is
the
that-
wife is around when you do it.
Yeah, and your kids.
Wait, which was the new Muslim party? Is that it, or is it?
I
No,
don't
no,
know.
Yes, you
I-
should definitely go look into the
That
Lemon
was-
party.
that was
They're
iPro.
very pro Sharia.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's the
yeah.
IPOO.
That was
Yeah.
the IPOO. No, the lemonparty.org is actually the
Yeah.
latest iteration of progressive political.
Oh, it's progressive.
Well, I mean, it's also for like old
Hard
talk
pass.
people too, right?
Yeah, it's
Hard pass.
age inclusive.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like Big Tent, whatever type of ism they have.
Yeah. It's all the
Everybody's
rage.
welcome.
It's all the rage in old folks' homes. That's all I have to say.
And by the way, it was all the rage in my daughter's high school after they found out about the lemonparty.org.
Wow.
It was all the rage in my high school. That was 20 years
Yeah.
ago.
Just, I guess if they listen to the other show and they hear about some other things, you just Google Mr. Hands and you'll see what it's all about.
Oh, I'm sorry to everyone out there in podcast land.
That went
Benny,
off the
where
rails
can
fast.
everybody find you on the internet?
You can find me at bennylewis.ca, where you can buy your speed loaders, hearing protection to coming soon, caps. We've got stuff.
We've got stuff. I do like stuff. I also like things.
We don't have any things yet. We have to upload them still.
Okay, well, I'll settle for stuff. Ian, where can everybody find you?
Well, you can reach me at the Island Retreat at gmail.com, and you can also find me on Canadian Prepper Podcast Sunday evenings at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Not talking about crazy conspiracy stuff or reality and, we'll call it self-reliance stuff. Had to clarify that the other week. So,
Well, I mean, your title is Prepper. I can understand how that would be misleading.
yeah, thanks a lot, Doomsday Preppers.
Yeah. Giving everyone a bad
genre.
name.
Yeah. We should have just said Less Reliance Podcast. That would have been best. But
All right. If you've listened this long, you deserve a discount code. Go to RagnarokTackle.ca. Enter the discount code Patriot at checkout. You'll save yourself some money. I have to apologize to Rod Giltaka. I understand that he is trying to arrange a debate with Wendy Sukier. I wish him the very best of luck in that. Unfortunately, it means he does not have time to prepare to come on to our show again this week. And for all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I'd like to remind you that you were the true North, strong and free.
poor Rod